After a stressful morning, I went on a walk and had a conversation with myself. Hi. So, I've been going through sort of a map thing lately where I've just been really thinking about maps and using them to structure and think about my inner world. So I have like a few maps that I wanted to kind of show you, and these maps, they all look different. Some of them are circular, some of them have ends and finishes, and some of them don't even look like maps at all. Yeah, I think that this is a very helpful tool, but as well, it's a perfect way to kind of like combine this very visual like language of maps. And maps often use like symbols, and they're often like these like simplifications of life, you know? Like if you think about like a "you are here" map, like when you're going hiking or something, it's using all of these symbols and signifiers to simplify like a river or a mountain or a trail. And it's a guidance tool as well as its own sort of generation of the world. Like it's kind of giving you a reflection of the world, whether that be a hike or like literally external circumstances, whether that be a hike that you're going on or your own internal world. And I find that these things can be very helpful personally, but also in terms of your art, your creativity, exploring different frameworks to play within. I love a map. Okay, so I'm gonna first start with this one. Yeah, this is one that I created by collaging. This is kind of like a subconscious process. As you can see, I just kind of started collecting images that I liked or I thought were kind of striking, and I just kind of like pasted them onto this like beautiful cliff rainbow image. And what was interesting is I kind of just started like pasting them in random places, and then after I finished pasting them, I kind of tried to like connect them and see the ways in which I thought that they were like connected. Again, this was super subconscious. Like I don't think that I was even like having an idea in mind about like what this meant or like what the story was here. But I think afterwards, in like looking at it and reflecting on it, you kind of see that the story it's telling, you know. This is like a door. This is like a door, and it kind of opens out into this like these kind of cranes that kind of almost like look like lovers to me, like two lovers. But the line kind of moves all the way over here to this woman. I actually took this from this like women in Christianity or women in the Bible like National Geographic magazine, and I don't even know who this is, but you can see that she's kind of giving like temptress. I mean, this might actually be Eve, but I'm not sure if it's Eve. But yeah, you have this serpent wrapping around her, and the serpent, you know, in Christianity is like very symbolic of like betrayal and the devil and like evilness, you know. And then you have like this, it's almost like the body, right? Like this looks like, in my head, it like looks like each like chakra And I know there's more chakras than this, but it almost looks like a person, you know, and it's like moving up into like each chakra. I guess that's how I pictured it. And you can see that this line is sort of like intertwining into like each of these holes, and then it emerges in this like kind of like heaven scenery where there's this like angel right there. And so you can see here that I've kind of like labeled this the other girl. And the other girl is something that has been very like symbolic for me, feeling this like dissonance with this like other version of myself that I really didn't like, you know, and felt a lot of self-loathing for. And to be able to kind of like embrace or characterize this version of myself that was, I don't know, lazy or had difficulty controlling her emotion, or was explosive and angry and like all of these things, it was kind of characterized in this like sort of shadow character of this other girl for me. And characterizing her like that really helped me kind of develop a relationship with her, and to be able to kind of like speak to that version of myself and really, yeah, find a lot of space for love and understanding and compassion for that part of myself. So I kind of like termed her, like I wrote this down like a lot later, I said the other girl, because in my mind this is like such a perfect representation of her, like a symbol of her, this sort of like evil, kind of wretched, but also like temptress, you know, character. And at least that's kind of how she was being symbolized in my own head. But anyways, looking at this like thing as a full picture, it's like I feel like it can be traveled both ways. Like my first instinct was to say like this is the start and this is the finish, but I can also see the way it can be like traveled in both ways. And I guess in my mind how I was seeing this was that this was sort of like the doorway or the opening. It also kind of looks like this like dark void, so it's like you're being opened up into this dark void. And there's like this like two thing, this like kind of lover thing happening here, where it's like you're having to like almost like navigate the relationship with the other or something. And then you're kind of having to like navigate this sort of like third thing, this like, I don't know, this like wretched other, you know, this like even like version of you that you're like holding at a distance. And so it's like through the like lover, you know, like literally a separate other person, you get to know and maybe understand this like version of yourself that's like a bit evil, I don't know. And then you kind of like integrate this through the body, and then you can kind of like ascend to like a higher place. But I guess it like works other ways too, because it's like this is like kind of at the bottom of the cliff, so it's like this sense of like this is like low, like this is closer to the earth, and this is high, this is like closer to the sky. So like low vibration, high vibration kind of vibes. And yeah, it's like you kind of like start in this like womb like space, like close to the earth, close to the other, and then you become separate, and you have to learn to like love the other, be in relationship with the other, and then you have to learn this like to be in relationship and love with this like wretched version of yourself. And then through the body you can ascend. That's kind of like the story that I'm rolling with right now. But I thought it was super interesting that this is just like a very subconscious process. And then I was able to kind of like generate this story with it that really reflected where I was at during a certain period of time. And yeah, I would really recommend this practice. Literally just take any old magazine, start cutting things up, and just create a little map for yourself. Oh my gosh, the wind is a paid actor. Okay. The second map, this is one of my favorite maps. And also like, I don't know if people would even like think that this is a map, but this is 100% a map to me. is this like symbol. I draw this symbol everywhere. This symbol, like this tiny ass little symbol, is, I swear to God, like the root of a lot of my like core philosophical frameworks that I'm working through in my writing, in painting, in my work, everything. So it's 1, 2, 3, and then the 0 in the middle. And so I could literally write a book about this, and I'm kind of trying to, but I could write like essays and essays and essays about this. So I'm really gonna try to keep this like as brief as possible. But I guess I was like really seeing that this was like the structure of the world. Like, in short, it's like kind of the structure of how energy moves, and also like specifically about how our process, like as infinite souls coming to earth, and having an earthly experience, MBD. But so it starts off, and it doesn't even start off, right? Because you can see that this is a triangle. So it's also like constantly in this infinity with itself. Like it's constantly just like rotating around. You can like start at any place on this map. But let's start at the 1. And so 1, I feel like, is really reflective of oneness. It's reflective of, you know, the part of us that is infinite and one with all things, you know? And, you know, some people can call that the higher self, the higher mind. Some people call that a soul, you know? And some people just call that the infinite, you know, the part of us that is a part of all things, you know, and connected to all things. And yeah, this oneness is really beautiful and really juicy, but we can't always stay in that state all of the time. And the reason why we can't stay in that state all the time is because we live on earth, you know, we have these separate bodies, we have these separate egos, and this sense of self, the sense of distinction between the self and the other, of me and you. And that separation is a core component of what being on earth is about, which is the perfect segue into the 2. So from the 1 to the 2, so from oneness, which is like this infinite part of ourselves that's connected to everything, and then this 2, which is really about separation. It's about difference. It's about relationship. And it's this sort of like difference that is like very earthly, in that it is a finite experience. Anyways, and then after this 1, 2, we have the 3, we have the third thing. And I used to go through this like really big obsession with like the third thing. But this 3 to me really is about the mystery. So to me, the third thing is really what mysticism means to me, and is really the reason why I believe that like we came to earth to have this experience. So if the 1 is like about the infinite, it's about unity, like unity of all things, and 2 is about the finite, duality, you know, like the fact that like we're separate. The third thing is what exists in between those things. It's what unity within duality feels like, which is why I say it's my closest definition of mysticism, is that mysticism is always saying, no, it's the third thing. It's not this, it's not that, it's the third thing. It's not about that we're completely one, that we're completely like one with everything. It's not that we're completely separate, we're like distinct people, we're different. It's both of those things, like at once, at the same time. And it is through separation that we can experience each other relationally. And that relationship is the third thing. Like you could even think about it in the most basic sense of just like a relationship between 2 people. It's like there's you, there's the other person, but what kind of exists between you 2 is the relationship. And that relationship, that third thing, holds a life all of its own. It becomes its sort of own thing. And we need that separation, right? We need the two to experience the three. If we were all in oneness, like we're all connected to each other, we can't experience each other relationally. And which is why we need separation to experience each other relationally and to be in relation both through unity and through difference simultaneously. Yeah, this is like the thing I could talk about forever. And then you'll see that there is like a 0 in the middle. And so what the 0 means to me is it's kind of like the void, right? Like the void is like nothingness, right? It's like 0. But that's the thing about the void. It's really nothingness, but it is also everything all at once, you know? It's infinite possibility because of its nothingness. And it's everything and nothing simultaneously. And so why I drew it as kind of existing in the center is it's the thing that ties all of these things together, right? It's at the end of the day, all of this all comes down to this, that like there is this void, there's this everything and nothing that we're... Okay, my phone ran out of battery, but let's just take that as a sign that I've said enough about this.
Every day a small thing saved me. Today it was drinking water in the sun. Fill the space or it will be filled for you. It's a different but similar variation of tell your story or it will be told for you.
Okay, finally, last but not least, a map that probably just doesn't look like a map is this symbol right here. I kind of mentioned it or talked about it in a previous video, but this symbol is actually the exact same symbol that I have on my dining table. And what's really crazy is I got that dining table from Facebook Marketplace, and as soon as I saw that symbol on it, I was like, that dining table is mine. And what's so funny is it was so cheap because it had that like imperfection on it, but I was like, that's my symbol, that's my dining table, I need that. To me, this symbol represents that all roads lead to the center and we are all at an equal distance to the center. So if this is the center, like the center, the core of all things, you know, this life energy that we all are a part of and separate from simultaneously, this like ring around it kind of just, yeah, shows that we're all at an equal distance from the center at any moment, you know? No moment or no circumstance or no person or no thing is farther or closer to this center, you know? We're all here. And also it's like all roads lead to the center, you know what I mean? It's like you can like take a trip in this direction, and if you're really just like following your truth and you're being honest with yourself, you'll always be returned to the same center, no matter where you come from. It could be here, and you're gonna be here. It could be here, and you're gonna be here. And to me, this is really a map, and yeah, it's one of my favorite symbols. Okay, that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it. It's been so nice to feel connected to people online and yeah, express myself in a way that maybe I haven't allowed myself to express myself before. So yeah, I appreciate it.